Listen here. Listen here, friends. I am about to contradict all traditional wisdom, as I regularly do on this channel. I feel like half of my videos are just saying things that sound completely absurd to the regular person. And then I get people constantly telling me, are you ironic or are you not ironic? And I can't provide an answer to them that's sufficient. People automatically just tell me that I'm being ironic, like they don't believe that I'm telling the truth. I don't think I've ever had an ironic opinion on this channel without like overtly toning up the comedic angle of it, or at least in my own estimation, that's what I'm doing. But people can't really tell when I'm being sarcastic or when my presentation is trying to be absurd, because people just automatically assume everything I say is absurd. So it's sort of difficult working from that premise. Yeah, you know, they say that what's genius or what's cutting edge, you know, tends to be viewed as crazy at the time. So perhaps I'm just more cutting edge than you are. Perhaps my mind is striving for a new dialectic, that I am actively going against all conventional wisdom because it's innovative. Who knows? Or maybe I just belong in an insane asylum. But I think, now I was thinking a lot about this, I think that being pathetic is largely a culturally defined issue as a result of what you previously had to do in order to survive. Let me give an example. Men are regularly told to suppress their emotions or to bring out less of themselves emotionally in order to not appear weak. And of course the reason for that is because when you're in a highly competitive society where you have to get one over other people, where you have to fight to survive, you know, men can't show their emotions the way that they would normally want to or need to, because that goes against the prerogative for survival. And of course, as societies develop more and more, and we get more and more away from this competitive mindset, as wealth continues expanding and there's more resources for everyone to go around, technology improves, thereby making society as a whole more peaceful. As society develops and we get more and more away from that animalistic desire, because that's really what the goal is of building up infrastructure and, you know, quote unquote developing, is to become more and more human and less of an animal. And not to say that humans aren't animals, but animalistic in the primal sense, you know? When people start talking about like wolf packs and stuff and applying that survival logic to humanity, we're trying to get more and more away from that by evolving ourselves through the evolution of technology. And so that's why, you know, people more and more often can be sensitive on the internet and not have, you do get the reaction, because we haven't completely developed the conditions past that to change the culture in all places, or there are people with old mindsets who, you know, who need to be phased out over time in order to completely get to this point. But there are more and more people who feel comfortable to be vulnerable, like they're not going to lose anything by being vulnerable, because society has become that much more peaceful. And so we're seeing more and more behaviors in men where that, you know, that wall, that emotional wall has been broken down, and people will be thinking less and less of, when I'm in this argument, you know, I want to kill this person, and more of, wow, I'm in this argument, I feel bad for this person, you know? That ability and the time that it takes to break down all of these situations in a cognitive way and compare it to prior knowledge, to sort of travel our mind back in time in order to make all of these comparisons and have all of these sets of information to compare to one another, that comes with having more time. Having more time comes by having better economic conditions, better societal conditions as a whole, improved infrastructure, the expansion of technology, more and more cutting down the amount of time that people have to be working, and more easily creating enough wealth in order to allow people to have more free time to think and to do whatever it is that they want to do. And I think the more that expands, the more that people are more equal, and society as a whole has more time to do what they want, to seek what makes them happy, or to just consider the lives and conditions of everyone around them. When that desire, that need to survive goes away because everything is taken care of, I think we see more and more of this empathetic mindset towards other people. That, like, having empathy, has it greatly expands at that point. It's, oh shit, is that a snake? That was a snake. I have to move away from the snake. Yeah, move away from the snake. Don't let the snake kill you. There needs to be there needs to be mowing around here. No mowing has been done, so like the grass is super tall and you can easily get snaked by a snake. Good times. What was I talking about? I don't know if any of this makes sense. Oh yeah, so sensitivity, right? Where does sensitivity ultimately come from? It's that ability to think and consider the conditions of the environment, compare it to past conditions, be able to have multiple sources of information you can use as a frame of reference to allow you to care more so about the lives of the people around you and about the implications that your actions have, because you have more information to allow for that, and you have more time to accrue that information. And it happens to be peaceful enough that those thoughts become more prevalent than the primal survival instinct, sort of selfishness. And so I think, where was I going with that? Yeah, basically, dogs are pathetic. You know how pathetic dogs are? They always just want to be loved all the time. Like, all dogs want is love. And so this idea of being pathetic comes from that past culture. The person who's completely vulnerable and wants to love other things and be loved themselves and is sensitive about that fact, that's considered to be cringeworthy because of this long-lasting culture of survival we've had. But I think we need to realize that that's not objective. That ultimately that view in society is the direct result of years and years of survival of the survival mindset. It's subjective, and subjectivity is ultimately the sum total of every situation that person has been in prior. And so now we're seeing the subjective view change. I think a lot of people want to be more sensitive, or they want to look at life through a more emotionally compassionate lens, but they're terrified of doing so because this subjective view has become, in people's eyes, an objective view, because that many people think that way, because that many people live their lives that way. But it's never objective. It only appears that way because a lot of people think it, or you've been exposed to a lot of people who think it. But there's nothing inherently wrong with doing things a different way. In fact, I would argue from my own subjective point of view that it's much better. And so once we realize this, once we're able to sort of break down that this, you know, that none of this is even real, bro, I think, what was the point I was going to make? I think it's much easier to look at things from a subjective, to go to the other lens, basically. To view things through the other lens. And that's good. I don't remember what any of this was supposed to be about. Good times. Throughout most of my time on YouTube, I feel like there was like a constant existential anxiety influencing all of the videos that I made. Like, in particular, the anxiety surrounding income and financial stability. Because this is something that, perhaps indirectly, but other times directly, was drilled into my head as a kid, as no doubt it probably is for many of you. If you don't get a job, you'll starve. Therefore, you need to do your schoolwork so you can get a job to have financial stability. This is something that has been in the back of my mind for a very long time, because I did not like school. I often did every single thing I could to cut corners, if not just not do the work. And so there was this ever-present sense that, like, the chickens were gonna come home to roost at some point. I just didn't know when. And when I got NeetBucks in 2020, it was like that whole existential anxiety I was experiencing, all of it just went away. Because there was going to be a guaranteed income that I'd have every month to ensure that I could get the things that I needed to have to survive. Before that point, it felt like I was just trying to do anything I could to distract myself from having very little in the way of plans, aspirations, or opportunities. This YouTube channel, in fact, back before I started really making vlogs on the main channel, I had been doing YouTube analysis videos because I thought writing is something I'm passionate about, and I'm really passionate about YouTube, so I guess I'll just try and do everything I can to use the free time I have skipping school to make as many videos as possible, eventually get good at it, eventually be good to a level of a professional, and then be a professional YouTuber. This, of course, did not exactly pan out. I ended up leaning really heavily into the esoteric Denpa stuff and like actively telling people to go away from my videos, actively taking on positions, opinions, lifestyle choices that are very disagreeable to many people, and as a result of that, getting a phone call, okay, and as a result of that, I have not garnered the kind of audience that would facilitate a living on YouTube. So where am I now? Right now, I am in Wyoming, the state of Wyoming, an absolutely beautiful state in the mountain west of the country. I was really shocked, honestly, by the beauty of this state. Having been through in the past, I was a fan of Idaho and Utah, the terrain and the general biome one can find there. And I had been through Colorado and I liked the mountains there a lot, but Wyoming, like the Mountain West in general, has a really specific vibe that when things are built around it well, it ends up just feeling like incredibly quaint and home-like. It's a tremendously beautiful state, which is something that I did not, expect myself to be saying about a place in America a long time ago, when most of my experience with the country had come from just the South. But nonetheless, I'm here. And that means I do not have the financial stability that I had when I was making videos in 2020 and 2021, or rather, oftentimes not making videos. Because this is the thing, right? I think where a lot of my content came from in the first place was that sense that I need to do something. I need either I'm going to make things work or they're not going to work. And until I can be reasonably sure that they're going to work, I have to do every single thing humanly possible in my power to ensure that they will work. And that linearity, that hyperfixation, that single-mindedness has generally colored like my experience with tasks in general, but when it comes to matters of livelihood, it's something I'm particularly neurotic about. And so, since having moved here, it's actually been difficult to engage in normal socialization with my friend, and to do things that are related to my interests, or anything that is not single-mindedly focused on how I'm going to be independent out here, and how I'm going to progress further in my life. These are all really important things, but most people, I think, would probably be able to take their mind off of it. Like, most people would probably have like a point at which they could go, okay, I'm going to relax now. I'm going to take a moment for myself. I cannot get it out of the back of my head that like I need to do something. Something needs to be done. And so, today, I've been having particular focus on potential jobs, as well as, still getting settled in. But it is a massive point of neuroticism for me. The fact that I don't have those things in order yet. And so everything in my brain is saying, get them in order right now, right now, right now. The one thing I can really imagine myself doing is something like this, when I'm not doing that. Because these allow me to compartmentalize my thoughts in regards to like the broader living situation, which is, of course, determined by money, and create something out of that, right? It seems like when my default state is being concerned about that, this is more or less the only thing I can do. And so then it becomes a question. Will we see the return of Osaka syndrome? You tell me. Oh boy, this is indeed a YouTube video. I have no idea how well this is going to run simultaneously with OBS, because I've never tried running these two things okay. Yeah, I get it. Did it not save my my account? Because I had an error with this. I had created a whole character, and oh wait, yeah, she's still here. Okay, thank God, because I was afraid that my entire character would be gone after it disconnected. I had gotten out into the forest, which Yeah, okay, so I'm still in the forest. The forest is supposed to be where the action is. I spent all this time, like, wandering around in this game, desperately trying to find something to fight. Well, it looks like there's something to fight. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Wild rabbit. Do you just click it? Am I gonna try to talk to the rabbit? Okay. Hello there. Yeah, so I'm making this video as an archive of sorts because I've been off of Discord for almost a month now, and about, I want to say, in like 2 days, I'll have officially been off Discord for an entire month. Items, do I literally not have any items? Oh my god, I am retarded. I came out here into the woods, blindsided myself by not having any items ready to kill anything that comes near me. Well, I guess you have to make do with what you have, which in this case is literally nothing. But I've been off of Discord for almost a month now. We're coming very close to it being an entire month, and honestly, I feel pretty good about it. I've had a couple moments where, specifically when I was going through Finabute withdraw, that I started feeling more lonely than I normally do, because when you withdraw from Finabute, it gives you rebound anxiety, so I was getting intensified loneliness as well. But I'm through the worst of the withdrawals at this point. I've kind of been using Kratom to get through the withdrawals, and that's been helping a lot. So my mood has kind of stabilized at this point. I'm kind of through the worst of the withdrawal. The thing is that, oh shit, I got 19 points damage hit by that guy. The thing was, well, back to home point, I died. This is what happens when you don't have any weapons and you try to go out like a straight shooter. But I had used, I was using like 3 grams a day over the span of 3 consecutive days, which is never something you want to do with Finabute. It's something that you want to use like once in a week, you know? It's not something you want to use that much. And I was completely aware of that. I knew that the withdrawals would be bad when I inevitably stopped using it, because if I used it anymore, it would develop into full-blown addiction. But thankfully, at this point, enough time has passed where that did not happen, because, of course, I controlled myself well enough to just get through the withdrawals. Because the logic is that when you're withdrawing from anything, using more of it to try and keep the withdrawals from happening is just going to make them worse in the future, because you're going to have to deal with them regardless. Like, it's better to stop early than to have to taper off and have to deal with all of this effort of feeling gross and icky when it develops into something really bad. And that is, I mean, when I started smoking when I was like 15 years old, I never smoked more than like a few in a week because I didn't want it to develop into an addiction. If I knew that back then, it's not like I'm going to unlearn that. And so that was sort of intensifying the loneliness that I was getting from not being on Discord for a little while there. But now that that loneliness has kind of subsided, I've kind of gone back. Wait a minute, I need to buy a weapon. Why am I'm going this way like I'm going to go battle, but I need to buy a weapon first. Silly me. But yeah, like the loneliness has sort of subsided at this point, and I can just sort of go back to doing what I've been doing. Who knows, I might even watch like 2 anime series in a day like I was for a while there. I was consuming so much media ever since I had left Discord. Like, it was just media all the time, and it was only with these withdrawals that I found it more difficult to consume things. And I was like, well, I'm just going to have to kind of indulgently watch YouTube for a while until these withdrawal symptoms are gone. This is the guy who sells weapons, right? I think this is him. He should be able to get me a weapon. Come on, my guy. Come on. Well, he doesn't appear to be helping. Maybe it's this guy over here? alive, can I help you buy? Yeah, so how much money? I don't have nearly enough money to get like a weapon. That's the thing, is that if you get the bamboo stick, the wait a minute, no, I have a sword. Yeah, so why were the items, this game, I literally just started playing this. So why is it that when I was trying to find items earlier in this, use an item, nothing was coming up? Why is that? Okay. I need to figure out how to play this game better. But yeah, basically, I've been doing pretty good. And when I actually start figuring out how to play this game, which took a hilarious amount of time to install, like this took like 2 hours to get this game running because I'm not playing it on official servers, but because I don't want to pay money. But once this game is actually working, I should have some interesting playthroughs of it on one of the other channels, so that's something to look forward to. Oh wait, yes, no, wave, entice. I did not even know that was a function I had. Hello, internet. I haven't showered in like, Jesus, like almost a month, I think. I'm not looking great right now. But I wanted to talk about a personal issue, if I can place this correctly, that I think I've dealt with for a long time, in regards to how I interact with people, or more specifically, the way in which I try to reconcile the unreconcilable, because I've had a tendency throughout my life to have quite unstable relationships with people, blowing up, flagrant attempts at avoiding abandonment or perceived abandonment through doing things that end up actually causing that, whether it be extreme gestures of insecurity or counterintuitive shouting and passive aggression related to that topic, or just in general, as if somehow engaging in behaviors that are aggressively defensive in an attempt to keep the person there would somehow keep the person there. I mean, generally people don't like people being kind of mean to them or kind of shitty, but especially when I was younger, I often didn't know why I did these things. Like, especially when I was in middle school, I would often blow up at people and then wonder why, and then I would like run around desperately trying to get the person to be my friend again, and then, you know, of course, after enough times they wouldn't, and then I would be confused as to why I did that, because once I stopped, once the emotions were gone, I didn't feel like someone who had any desire to do something like that, and yet I did. So I have this desire to take things that I've done back, you know, to try and just make them go away, and you can't just make them go away. Sometimes you have to grit your teeth and realize, I did wrong. This person's perception of me has changed because I did wrong, and there's no magic plan or solution that I can concoct that will
change what I did. Because essentially, in that situation, the goal is to do a number of things that would put that person more in your camp, and then just be consistently good until, you know, their perception of you isn't colored by those other things that you did, but they're still always going to be there, you know. And that has a lingering effect, and you just can't always fix that. And I mean, sometimes I wonder why I'm even trying. I mean, one of the reasons, of course, is because I want to keep the person in my life. But is that the whole reason? I don't really think so. Maybe a big part of it is just not wanting it to end on bad terms. Not wanting that person to remember me negatively. Sometimes you just have to let go and realize you can't always get what you want. Sometimes you have to fuck up, and part of that is taking responsibility, saying, yes, I did do wrong. And you still have to acknowledge that, even if the other person does wrong. You know, even if there's a laundry list of things. You know, you may spend years agonizing over the revenge you didn't get, feeling justified in the bad things you did because of the bad things they did. But at the end of the day, they're just gonna keep hurting more people. They hurt people before you. They're hurting you now. You know, you can try and polish up your image or whatever, but ultimately it's not going to change the fundamental problems between the two of you that led to those strenuous scenarios in the first place, right? You know, if like a husband hits their wife over the fact that they didn't make the food correctly, it's like, well, technically that was the reason, but it's more fundamental reasons you have to consider that would have led to something like that, because it's not exactly normal behavior. I don't even know if I'm making sense. I'm in one of the, no, not one of the, probably the most depressed phase I've ever had. And I'm just trying to make sense of everything. So I got people leaving left and right. Accusations coming my way, some of which have validity, many of which don't. But in reaction or in response to everything that happened, I seem to be pushing away the people I have left. I guess at some point you have to say, yeah, things are bad. I can't really fight against it, like, my life is just like this. Maybe that's just how things are. Now, what does everyone else do? They just push through, right? So you can't feel sorry for yourself. You just have to push through. I guess that was a video. It's very strange seeing myself in this room at this time of day, because I feel like right now I have the optimal lighting. I have the optimal lighting for just about any shot that I'd want to take. You know, like this in-between period between light and darkness, where like the curtain is obviously over my
window, and that's why only a little bit of light's coming in, I think makes really good lighting for videos. I don't like videos to be particularly lit up or particularly dark. Like sometimes when they're completely dark it can be cool, but at this point I've recorded so many videos just wholly in the dark that I think it's getting a little bit derivative. So this lighting style is nice. I would prefer to be putting up, you know, a bunch of Christmas lights over my ceiling, which I think I'll do soon enough. It's just that pretty much all the money that I get that doesn't go to like rent or food goes to drugs or video games. Rarely video games anymore, mostly just drugs. Sometimes books when I want to read books again. I haven't even really read the last books that I bought to you know, any meaningful extent, so I'm not really going to be buying books for a while. I used to buy books all the time, but you know, I haven't been as much of a reader as I once was because anime has been consuming so much of my time. So when you watch so much anime that you're kind of tired from reading all the time, you don't necessarily want to be reading a book afterwards. It seems like the coming out video that I did where I came out as trans on the main channel did pretty well. I think that's good. That was a success, and hopefully I can start, you know, looking soon into HRT and stuff and how to get on HRT, because like right now this is not fem at all. Look at me. This is not fem star material. Definitely not. So hopefully I can become a QT 1.3 1 3.0. What is the letter for pi? The number for pi. That's the joke. Is that anyway. Yeah. Hopefully I can do that. My dog is also, look at him. He's sticking his teeth out at the camera. Yeah, hopefully I can do that, because right now I'm in a very awkward period, I think. Like, this period of my life is so awkward because socially, like basically socially, I've transitioned. Like, people know that I am a trans person and have changed the way that they talk about me or talk to me accordingly. And so, you know, people know that that's a thing, but like physically I'm not presenting that way. And so it's very awkward, because once you start physically presenting that way and you obviously look feminine to everybody around you, at that point it's like people will just inherently call you she, her, because why would they not? You know, they'd have to actively be trying to call you something different if you don't look and sound feminine. They would have to be doing that on purpose. So at that point they're putting in work, they're putting in mental effort in order to misgender you. And I don't really intend to keep anybody around who's like that. And so right now it's just a matter of like, people have to self-correct, because for a lot of them it's unorthodox to refer to someone who looks like the way that I do right now in that way. And so that's really awkward. I'm in a really awkward period right now. I mean, it's been awkward my whole life because I haven't exactly looked the way that I would want to with the way that I identify or the way that I feel. And so it's a big rocky circus. The whole thing, whole situation, clown world, 4chan meme. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Well, I know what I'm going to do about that. I say that a lot, that I don't know what I'm going to do about things, or I have these little, I think I developed these speech habits from interactions with my family, where like, in order to end the conversation as fast as possible, I would say like, oh, I don't know, I don't understand, or I would generally like say those like things that you say to end a sentence or to end a conversation, just these little ending phrases. I would say those constantly in order to get out of conversations with people. I mean, I've done the same thing online a whole bunch because I generally just don't interact with people very much. Obviously, I'm not on Discord, have not been on Discord for a long time now. So it's strange world we live in. I don't know what the point of this was. I think I wanted to remember something, but I forgot what I wanted to remember. So, goal not done.
You know, honestly, it honestly just felt like it was Christmas of 2012. Literally, time has flown by so fast. And you know, with that being said, you know, it's funny how fast time has passed. At least for me this year. You know, honestly, it seems like last week when I was just sitting here in, you know, December of 2012, you know, doing those wing reviews, and you know, it's honestly thinking back, it's kind of sad, you know, to see how fast time flies by and how your life is just going by like that. You know, it's kind of sad to see, honestly. I don't know if it's going to get any slower. And every year it's just, I don't know. Not getting any better, I'll tell you that. Well, anyway, that's what I have to say to you there. That's it.